Wallace Allen. This is Empire Talks Back, and I'm glad that you're here. There's something I want to talk to you about. Everybody deserves a chance. First chance, second chance, but the main thing is a chance. Well, I've got a young man here that not only allows and permits and encourages our young people with a chance, he's here to give them a fighting chance. And I'll introduce Mr. Terry Boykins to you right after this short break. We're back. Project Fighting Chance. Mr. Terry Boykins is the executive director of the project, and he is not alone in his effort to give our young folk a fighting chance. He uses volunteers, he uses many things, but the main thing that he uses is our young folk who are looking for an opportunity, our young people who deserve an opportunity, and he has all of that. Mr. Terry Boykins. Terry, how are you?
Thank you. Wallace, thank you. Good to be here.
Good to see you.
Yeah, as always.
Project Fighting Chance. You joined that operation several years ago. Mr. Ian Franklin had set it up, got it moving, and you guys got together, and it's been a tremendous partnership ever since. Tell us more about that project and what the goals and mission is.
Project Fighting Chance. It has definitely been a mission. It's been 10 years now.
10 years?
10 years. 2015, I think we met, had a chance to talk about what his vision was, and then also about what I believe he was going to need to do to get that vision realized.
Okay.
And some of the things he wanted to do was not going to get that vision realized because you had to put a business component to it. And so we've been able to do that. We've been able to do that. It's been an incredible experience. You're talking from having 3 or 4 staff members to now over 30-something staff that's at Project Fighting Chance. And the biggest part of this is what we did in the back room to make sure that we were able to take care of the front end. And the front end is where those young people come in. The front end is where those parents come in that are looking for opportunities for their kids to basically be somewhere productive. But in order for us to deliver the type of services and the types of programs that we needed, we had to make sure that we had the staff and the support that was trained to understand the business that we were in, and that was dealing with childhood trauma.
Initially, the program was a boxing program that had a need for a place to be.
Yes.
Needed the boxing equipment because there were always the children, young people around who were boxing anyway at another level, but getting some discipline, getting a place that the young people could come to where they knew they had someone who cared about them and someone who was knowledgeable enough to know that a future in the ring boxing was a lot better as an example for discipline than the undisciplined boxing that the young people were inclined to do at school in the parks, simply because they knew they needed a fighting chance, but mostly it was fighting. Fighting Chance took place as a project, a program to give them discipline, and that initially is, I believe, what you walked into when you met Mr. Franklin, in 2015 you say?
2015, yes. And that is a good part of it. Those components that you said are very on point. But Project Fighting Chance really started as a result of his son being bullied.
Yes.
And so he needed to have somewhere where he can work with his son, build that confidence, build that self-esteem, and have an opportunity for him to really become that independent young man that he can, as a parent. I think that's one of the biggest fears that a parent has, is having their child bullied and their self-esteem and picked on. And so he realized that in that community there was other kids that were needing that kind of support. And then the boxing began to, form and develop into competitions, and then on to being able to represent the athletes that went in to represent the United States with the Olympic Games.
Yeah, not to overlook the impact and the importance of the boxing. The boxing has taken young men, well, young man in particular, around the world. And
literally
a world champion of sorts. You want to tell us about Terrible Terry and how he became tremendous Terry? Or?
Yeah, terrific Terry.
Terrific Terry, yes.
So Terrible Terry Washington started out as a young man that Ian had a chance to work with, problematic behavioral issues. Parents were looking for something to straighten this young man out. Didn't want to go to school, didn't want to act right, didn't want to use the proper language talking to adults. And so Ian basically took him in and asked him if he could box. And Terry responded, no, but I know how to fight. And so that began the relationship. And I think this is where it was about not only the athleticism that these young people have, whether I know I play football, I play basketball on the court, I fight in the streets, whatever it may be, but it became about the structure. It became about the availability of a caring adult that was going to be involved with some child's life, whether it's your own or some child that's a community youth in the in the streets. And so that's where the boxing component began to work within Ian's system of teaching them the sport of boxing. But as they shared with the athletes, the 4Ds, desire, discipline, dedication, determination, those are the things that those angry young men and those hurt young men begin to learn how to apply when they put those boxing gloves on.
With the success that was obvious, not just with Terry, but understanding that if you're going to be spending time in the ring,
yes,
you need to spend time with your books. There are things that you were using to motivate them to be in the program. So the program really started to expand beyond being in the ring to influencing how the young people act outside of the ring. You want to tell us about some of those things? And we're not just talking about young men now either.
No, you're not. You're talking about young ladies as well. You're talking about young adults as well, where before it was youth. I'm glad you mentioned about the books, the education part. Matter of fact, this one I tell you about the back room. Our staff, and I'm actually wearing one of our new shirts, Books Before Hooks.
Okay.
And so this means that you have to really be focused in on what we're about. As a young person and a parent coming into Project Fighting Chance, we're not just simply about you being able to be enthralled and excited about boxing and what it represents. You have to put in some life work. You have to basically get some knowledge and some education and some structure and some discipline to want to learn and do something better. The likelihood of you becoming the championship heavyweight, middleweight, light middleweight champion of the world, the numbers are not in your favor. But the chances of you becoming a productive, educated individual that is able to contribute to their community
Yes.
and pay some taxes is very likely that you will experience that. And the Books Before Hooks is basically our mentoring, our tutoring, our homework accountability program that makes sure that young people understand this about Project Fighting Chance. You don't walk into that gym to become a boxer. You become a person who's responsible for a community, and you learn how to give back the first day you walk through that gym.
Example.
For example, right in the front of Project Fighting Chance, when you walk through the door, you'll see two things. An incredible mural of Ruben Campos, which is the namesake of the building, Community Center for San Bernardino Parks and Recreation. And then you have a table that has a homework station that's basically your first encounter of, did you do your homework today? So we'll have a tutor there that basically is, I would say, the accountability officer for education.
Okay.
That you have a space outside of the gym, that there's no heavy bags, there's no boxing ring, there's no bells, there's no speed bags, there's no jump ropes, there's no equipment. You have that table, your supplies in your backpack, your books, and your pencil, your writing instrument, and somebody to help you. That's your first point of interaction with Project Fighting Chance.
How can you measure the success of Project Fighting Chance? And it's fairly easy to measure the success in the ring and the discipline that the young people have as they attend, but how are you able to monitor and determine the success of their school experience?
That's a great question. Measurable outcomes, pre and post evaluations, spot checks. So we know that if a child's basically having some challenges with regards to their homework assignments, their subject matter, their studies. We know where they are. They are coming in with a measurable grade, whether or not you have a 60% or 70% or 80%, we check that. But we also look at how much attraction do you really want to put your boxing gloves on? Because if you want to do that, that means that you're going to have to increase your academic performance. So the incentive is there. They want to go on the other side of that door. They want to go into the gym. But we're saying, let's bargain, let's make a deal.
Terry, how do you get them to understand that in order to box, it's one thing to hit the bag and something else to get in the ring and spar with someone else. And everybody that wants to spar probably is looking forward to, connecting well with their fist to somebody else's body. How do you prepare them for receiving that?
Being on the other end?
Yeah, receiving that punch in the mouth.
Well, you know what? Training becomes key. We have a very accomplished and supervised program. Coach Ian Franklin, course founder and the head of boxing operations, watches this very carefully. Coaches are trained to make sure that the regulations and all the things relative to USA Boxing and sanctioned organizations are in place. How we basically parallel what's happening with that individual, going back to the measurement, the likelihood of something happening to a child that comes into Project Fighting Chance is great. Whether it be a maltreatment issue, whether it be an issue of anger or grief, self-esteem, whatever it may be. Something has happened with that child that has basically encountered some form of trauma.
And your goal is to teach them how to overcome that and at the same time not be hurt.
That's correct.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll explore more of how they are protected and at the same time inspired to go forward.
Absolutely.
This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. I'm speaking with Mr. Terry Boykins, the Executive Director of Project Fighting Chance. Give you a fighting chance to take a short break and join us in just a short period. We're back, and we are talking with Mr. Terry Boykins of Project Fighting Chance. Terry, how you protect the young people in your program and at the same time keep them inspired, because if I'm in the ring boxing, I could get punched in the nose and want to go home. So how do you deal with things of that sort? And then I'd like to talk about some of your other plans. Go on.
Well, the physical part, there's equipment, there's regulations, there's supervision, there's rules that coaches that are trained, that Ian does a very good job at, they're responsible for that. Make sure they have the right equipment on, make sure they have the right headgear on, make sure they have on the right body protection, make sure that they are able to understand what corner and neutral location. So they're basically instructed. They have sparring that occurs Tuesday and Thursdays, so they learn a little bit about what happens when you get in the ring with somebody that will punch you back and vice versa. And you have intervention because the coaches can basically kind of identify when things are going to get out of control. When you start wild swinging, and they get a chance to pull it back into the sport versus somebody, just unloading on somebody. So that's the protection relative to the physical part. The other protection that we have to be very mindful of is the mental health part, the emotional part. Why is a child boxing? What causes them to want to engage in this sport? For what reason? If they're not going to be trained to become a champion, what's the outlet? What's the purpose of releasing those happy endorphins? Where are they trying to get to? So the other training that has to occur, another protection that has to occur, is our being mindful of the emotional state of being that those young people come to us at. So we have to be aware of what we're dealing with. We have kids that are autistic. We have kids that have had severe trauma. We have kids that have been, abused and neglected. We've had foster youth that have basically been placed in our programs.
What type of needs assessment do you go through? It sounds more and more complicated as I talk to you than I even imagined that it could be. when the child comes in there, when a young person comes in, what type of assessment do you take them through for your information so that you know where to, which lane to put them in to go where they need to go?
Well, we basically, all our staff and coaches are trauma-informed, trained, mental health first aid for youth. But that's not where we focus that particular expertise. We do have partners that are specialists, therapists, clinicians in mental health. Some of them actually come and have sessions for that youth that's in the program right there on our property. And so we have the connection with partners that are in that particular expertise that are able to work the mental health issue with our enrolled population.
Parents. What part do parents play in the program besides bringing the kids there, dropping them off? Do you have a component for working with the parents?
We have an extensive relationship with parents. If you come to Project Fighting Chance any day of the week, Monday through Friday, you will not be in Project Fighting Chance without having a pretty good representation of presence of parents that are there with their child. Now, they may or may not stay in the boxing or the workout area. They may stay in the reception area. Sometimes they'll go into some of the outer perimeter of the, because we want coaches focusing on the athleticism and working with the child. The parents are always welcome to be there, and they're sometimes there for their own issues. And because they're having the part that they're confronted with of helping their child deal self-esteem, body shaming issues, bullying impact, or trauma. You know, there may be, caregiver situations where an auntie or uncle has now taken in a family member that is dealing with a whole bunch of different stuff. Mm-hmm. So we get a chance to not only interact with the youth that come into Project Fighting Chance, but we have much conversations with parents that are basically concerned and worried and have fear that they're not going to be able to save their child. Something could happen. These streets could be notorious. And one of the things that we make sure that every parent caregiver is aware of, we're not here to change your family dynamics about how you raise your child. We are a community resource that has been skilled and blessed with a certain type of training and accomplishment to help your child get somewhere where you may not have the training to reach them, get that from a boxing perspective, from a mentoring perspective, from an intervention, from a carrot hanging over their head. We basically are saying that we're here as a resource to the community to basically help you patch your family back together to where you want to get your family.
And you have referral partners that assist you in doing that?
We do.
Is there a volunteer component? Do you need volunteers? If so, what type of work or help and assistance are they asked to provide?
We do. We have a volunteer program. It's very specific because of what we're trying to accomplish. Our program is very specific. So, for example, one of our biggest volunteer partners is the UCR Medical School. And so UCR Medical School has their medical students that will come over, and they will basically learn cultural competency of dealing with inner city youth by being able to understand what it means to prepare an after-school program. Because not only is it talking about fitness, but the social emotional well-being. These are the individuals that 10 years from now, that those individuals that are in the medical school will probably be seeing them in practice. They'll see them at the local clinics. They'll see them and they will say, wow, I remember when I worked with this program and that child was in the 5th grade. Well, guess what? That child is now 21, 22 years old, working, needing health care. So they come over there and they help set up the place. They help get it ready for the day. They help us with our food program, which we're focused on food insecurity. That's one of the components. The reason why we say we want to be very specific is because to run Project Fighting Chance, when we open those doors at 2 o'clock to get ready for the day, we have to make sure that place is clean. It's got to be sanitized. We all know about the whole issue about COVID and germs and viruses and so forth. So we've kept in step with making sure that gloves have to be clean, bags have to be clean, sinks, bathrooms, prep area, food area. So we actually have volunteers that sign up to help us get that day ready.
Okay.
We also have different events that volunteers sign up to make sure that we can pull the event off effectively. For example, like Jabathon, there's a lot of work that goes into that.
Jabathon.
Yes.
Jabathon, Jabathon.
O-N, that's right.
Okay.
Let's sing it together.
So visually, the first time I heard that term, I says, well, I don't know, what are they going to do? Count the jabs, or they get paid per jab, or you earn money per jab? But tell us about the Jabathon and how that operates, because it is a fundraiser for your project.
It is. It is our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it's a very unique program. So Jabathon is what it is jabbing. You have individuals that come in. We start at 7 o'clock in the morning. We go to 7 o'clock at night. It is non-stop boxing, fitness, circuit training. It is definitely a workout. The thing that's unique is that each year we'll give it some type of angle. This year's angle is individual has an opportunity to sponsor each hour at the rate that they want to sponsor. $5 an hour, I think, is the minimum for 12 hours. So they want to sponsor for 5 hours, they can $25 contribution. We have some individuals want to sponsor for $1,000 an hour. We like all of them. And so what happens here, we bring youth in from throughout the Inland Empire. And some of them want to come in because they're intrigued by boxing. This will be the first time they get a chance to box, and they'll be in there for the 12-hour period. And then some of them are really dealing with some major issues. They are angry or they're hurt, and they want to deal with their issues but don't have an outlet. So we have people that sponsor those kids that come into the gym for a tax-deductible donation. And for an hour on the hour from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, the Jabathon occurs where donors and sponsors are sponsoring those kids so that we can underwrite the programs. Project Fighting Chance very seldom closes down. We'll be open during the holidays. We're open during spring break. And then, of course, our summer enrichment program during this July is one of the biggest reasons why we raise this money, so we can carry until they get back to school from July.
After school program, many
Yes.
people think that means after school while school is in session. But obviously when school is out of session, there's
Yeah.
a larger need
Huge.
for activities for the young folk,
right.
for the students. So you help fill that need by truly being after school, not only after school hours, but after school session.
That's correct.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
and that's where our partnership, our community partnership with schools, with organizations, whatever it may be, we basically have committed our staff, our expertise, our equipment, our resources. Food, a child gets a chance to eat. They don't need equipment, they don't have to buy equipment, everything is there for them. What we've done with that, we've put it into a campaign called Stop the Trauma. And so we know that any time period between, Monday and Sunday, a child's going to encounter something, okay? Or being frustrated with homework, or having to deal with the fact that they just lost a friend through gun violence, or there's an assault. We've dealt with sex trafficking, we've dealt with intimate partner violence, domestic violence, abuse, whatever it may be. But we want to fill that gap. And so what we've done, and if you go to stopthetrauma.org for Jabathon, you'll get a chance to see that Jabathon is really a community response that basically supports the impact of reducing childhood violence, aggression, and trauma over the lifespan. And Jabathon starts with that particular campaign. The 22nd of November is usually the third Saturday in November, from 7 in the morning to 7 at night.
That's a Saturday.
That's a Saturday.
And the people who are doing the jabbing
Yes.
are young people who are in the program, or is, like you said, is this an opportunity for people who have no idea of what the program is, who come in and get a peek at it, or?
Yeah, no, you got the concept. But a lot of it is young people that come from around the Inland Empire. Oftentimes we'll get adults, they need to get out some anger or they need to get out some stress as well, and so they'll get a chance to put their gloves on. And
So adults can come in and
adults can come
put
in
the
for
gloves
Jabathon
on
as well.
and punch the bag.
They can punch the bag. They'll go. No, they get a chance to punch the bag, but they go through a whole circuit training that Ian Franklin has done a really good job of putting in motion. And so they get a chance to come in, follow the coach's lead, learn about boxing, learn about the equipment, learn about cardio, learn about strength, fundamentals of boxing. It's a very fun day, but it's a very, if you want to come for a workout and you want to sweat a little bit, you're going to come to Jabathon, and I guarantee you
Find
raise
out a
money.
little something about yourself.
Absolutely, you can find out a whole bunch about yourself. And you can find out, we even haven't had a chance to do it with team building. We have teams that come in from organizations and companies that bring their departments in, and they get a chance to look at each other a little differently from the start of the day to the point where they realize that, man, I didn't know that so-and-so was that angry.
We've got about a minute left, and this is an unfair question,
Okay.
but I'm known for asking these. What is your strongest memory, your strongest happy memory about your experience with Project Fighting Chance?
Not agreeing with Ian Franklin. I don't know initially, and Ian and I laugh about this today. Ian wanted something to happen, and I tried to have him explain to me what exactly it was that he wanted to have happen. And from a boxing coach, he could tell me. From an organizational perspective, he could not tell me. And so my happiest moment has occurred today of us basically being able to work together for the last 10 years to prove each other were right.
Ah,
That's the happiest moment. And so time is what gave us the opportunity to get to this place.
Ian is not here, but he's certainly a person that I admire, have tremendous respect for, and I can understand why you do as well. And I know that if he were here and you were not, the same thing could be said about you in your absence. Terry Boykins, it's a pleasure to know you.
Thank you, Wallace.
God bless you for the work that you do. We appreciate you. Thank you very
Thank you, sir.
much. This has been Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen. See you guys next time. And I hope you have been you have been invited to Jabathon, and I hope that you realize that boxing is only the beginning for your fighting chance. God bless you. Thank you for your time.